Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. In this video, Sunday morning, we have football starting in 90 minutes. A ton of inactives and injury reports came out this morning. I'm just going to kind of read them off here. I'm looking at NBCSportsEdge.com. If you have Josh Jacobs, he was sick on Thursday and Friday. He flew out to the team by himself on Saturday. It says he will play. I don't know about his workload, but he's going to play. So if you have Josh Jacobs questions, we can get to those. Hayden Hurst, good to go versus the Jets. Justin Herbert, that's the big question of the day. I think if you want to have a backup quarterback in plan for the 3 o'clock Sunday night or the Monday night games, that's probably the best way to go. If Herbert plays, I'm open to him playing in my fantasy lineup. The Lions expect DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson both to play. Jameis Winston expected to play. Big one for the Patriots. No Jacoby Myers today. So if you're relying on him in PPR leagues, he is not going to be in today. For the Buccaneers, Russell Gage, Brashad Perriman expected to play. Julio, game time decision. I'm probably going to lean towards him not playing. Leonard Fournette is playing. And then on the other side of the football, Christian Watson probably unlikely to play today with his hamstring injury. So a ton of news being blasted around this morning. I think if you have J.K. Dobbins, the buzz around J.K. Dobbins was really, really positive this morning, saying that there might not be any restrictions on J.K. Dobbins. So if you needed to put him in at RB2, I'm open to doing that. Let me know if you have J.K. Dobbins questions. It looks like he's set to make his season debut today. If you need Gabe Davis, he's expected to play today. Jerry Jeudy on track to play tonight. So I think if you wanted to put him out there, you don't have to worry about putting someone in earlier in the games today. So it sounds like he's on track to play. Same thing can be said with James Conner, looking like he's going to play. He can be a low-end RB2. Good morning to Harris. Good morning to Justin. Ron T, good morning, my man. Wide receiver 3, PPR start 1. Sterling Shepard, Traylon Burks, Chris Olave. Oh, wow. See, those are all kind of exciting players. Maybe not so much Sterling Shepard. I think Sterling Shepard's probably the safe play. I think if you need someone in PPR, I can look to Shepard and I can almost guarantee 10 to 12 points out of him. I think the risk comes with Chris Olave. We saw the air yards last week. He was hyper targeted a ton. And then Traylon Burks, we're waiting for him to kind of get more put on his plate. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to lean with Sterling Shepard here. He is the safety pick. If you feel like you are the underdog and you need to make some bigger plays, I'm going to go with Olave. So if you want to take the safe play, I'll go Shepard. If you want to go for the ultimate ceiling here, I think Chris Olave going up against the Panthers today might be the call. So I hope that helps. Do I veto this trade in my league? PPR, Jonathan Taylor for Kyler Murray, Henry, and Garrett Wilson. Whoa. Is that Derrick Henry? I mean, that's a little lopsided if you ask me. I personally, I don't like leagues where you veto trades, so this one's kind of tough for me. I think it's pretty lopsided though. The Murray, Henry, Garrett Wilson team is definitely getting more value. And it is PPR, so JT and Henry don't really have as much value, but Kyler Murray and Garrett Wilson have a ton of value. So I would lean towards not wanting that trade to go through for me. Good morning to Ryan. Yeah, the Buffalo Bills defense, man, not looking good. I think we're expecting a shootout today, and I think we're gonna get a shootout today in Miami. So I'm not afraid of Tua. I know I was getting a lot of Tua Tagovailoa questions earlier in the week. And that was before we got all the practice reports for Buffalo. But it looks like that defense, man, they're going to be hurting. They've got a handful of guys ruled out already. We'll see. I think the Dolphins offense will keep it rolling. No problem, my man. Good luck to you as well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to hang out live for the next half hour or so. That way it gives me time to get my lineups and everything in straight here. So I'll just refresh the feed every now and then, see if there's any more news coming out. But I think for the most part, we kind of know what's all happening. I'm going to kind of continue to look around for more news and notes. Alvin Kamara expected to play today. Again, we mentioned Gabe Davis, Jerry Jeudy, James Conner. Looking around, these are all college kind of highlights here. So we'll go back. What do we got? We got a question here. Clyde Edwards or James Robinson, non-PPR. So, I mean, it's a tough matchup for the Jags, especially considering that they're flying out west. They're on the road. I think in a non-PPR format, you basically got to ask yourself, who's more likely to get the touchdown? I think both guys have pretty good odds for a touchdown today. I tend to lean with Clyde Edwards-Helaire because I would expect the Chiefs to have more opportunities to score a touchdown. If they put up 3 or 4, there's a good chance that it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If it's James Robinson, maybe the Jags only score 2, maybe 3. That's kind of in line with where I'm thinking. So I think I'm going to go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think this might be more of a Travis Etienne day as potentially playing from behind. CeeDee Lamb or Marquise Brown? I'm going to assume this is a PPR question, Ryan. Lamb showed some nice things last week with Cooper Rush. He also we have 2 data points on CeeDee Lamb playing with Cooper Rush. He's had really nice fantasy games in both of them. So I kind of want to lean into CeeDee Lamb. I know it's a Monday night game. Marquise Brown going up against the potentially getting, some Jalen Ramsey coverage today here. I think the safe play is going to go with CeeDee Lamb. 7 for 75 last week, and I think last year he went 6 for 110. So I'm not afraid of Cooper Rush. I think the floor is pretty nice here. Marquise Brown or A.J. Dillon, non-PPR? Okay, that's an interesting one. Because I'm slightly concerned about Tampa Bay's defense. I guess the Packers' offense going up against Tampa Bay defense. We're not really sure how well they're going to be able to move the ball. I think in terms of odds for a touchdown, I kind of like A.J. Dillon today. If they do get in close, I think Dillon's probably the safe play. I would expect him to get his 15 to 20 touches again in this one. So that's, a safety of maybe 60 to 70 total yards and probably, 60 to 70% chance of a touchdown. So I think it's A.J. Dillon and non-PPR. And I would expect Dillon to be used as a passing weapon today too. That's one way to get them away from the defensive line. So I'll go with A.J. Dillon in that one. Let me see what other news we can dig up here. I think we're pretty much all caught up for news, though. Did you guys see Schefter had a report this morning talking about the 49ers potentially trading Jimmy Garoppolo to the Washington Commanders at one point in the offseason, which would have been interesting. Of course, they went and go and get Carson Wentz after. But apparently they did not like that he had the shoulder surgery or whatever it was. So we'll see. Yeah, I think we're all caught up on player inactives. I'm just going to refresh the Twitter feed here. Any other questions you guys got? Fill them out. We got A.J. Dillon or Dotson non-PPR. I'm going to continue to lean with A.J. Dillon. I think Dotson's been really hot lately. But we saw what those Philadelphia cornerbacks did last week against the Vikings. I know Dotson's really good. He's been really impressive. But to me, it's a risk-reward type thing. I think Dotson could have a nice game. Still not sure if I trust it. I think A.J. Dillon's good for 60, 70 yards and a potential touchdown. A.J. Dillon, Pierce, or ETN? PPR. That's a good one too. Because I'm actually pretty excited about all 3 running backs today, and especially in a PPR format, that makes me a little bit more anxious to get a guy like Travis Etienne there. But I think your safest play might be A.J. Dillon. I'm pretty big into Damien Pierce today. I think Damien Pierce is going to have a nice game going up against Chicago. I saw the Bears, they unveiled a new grass field today, so that looks kind of fun. We'll watch for that. But I like Damien Pierce to get his 15 touches or so and potential for a touchdown. I think in full PPR, ETN, you think about, how good this Chargers defense is, they might have to throw the ball more than they're accustomed to. So I think from a safety point, Dillon's your safest player in PPR. And if you think about week 1 where Dillon had 4 or 5 catches, I think that's probably going to be the best game plan. And again, the Packers are down at receiver. They don't have Watkins. They don't have Christian Watkins and Watson today. So I think Dillon might be more used as a passing down. I think he's probably your safest play. Gabe Davis can be used as normal today. I think so. I think the Bills coaching staff did a really smart thing. They didn't force him to play on Monday Night Football, a game where they clearly didn't need Gabe Davis to play. I think he's going to be good to go. He even himself, I think it was Thursday or Friday, he had a quote saying, "I'm 100% going to play." So I trust Gabe Davis. And let's see. Ryan mentioned earlier that the Bills defense is hurting. I think the Dolphins are going to score points. We might see a fun shootout here in the AFC East down in Miami today. Derrick Henry or Jeff, non-PPR? You got to go. You got to stick with Derrick Henry. Yeah, Derrick Henry for sure. Any big injury news? Your boy J.K. Dobbins is playing today, Aiden. J.K. Dobbins is in, and if you would have asked me a day or two ago, I'm like unsure if I want to play J.K. Dobbins, but I think their coaching staff is very, very cautious. And guess what? I just saw on the news for Twitter right now, they just made Kenyon Drake inactive. So I think today I'm gonna fire up J.K. Dobbins in leagues where I have him today. So I would say that's probably the biggest news for me is the return of J.K. Dobbins. As far as other injury news, nothing that we didn't really know already. I'll say that. I guess Jacoby Myers was the one that we were watching, and he's not going to play today. PPR, Jeff Wilson Jr. or Dylan, Jeff Wilson Jr. or Dylan or Jacob. I mean, I'm going to say I think Dylan's your safest play, but I kind of want to roll the dice with J.K. Dobbins. I mean, again, I'm just looking at the report. Kenyon Drake is inactive today. I'm thinking that's probably very, very good news for J.K. Dobbins. So from some of the research that I was doing is the Ravens have one of the most conservative medical staffs in the NFL. And you're not going to play if you're not 100% ready. So I think we can expect, a healthy workload for J.K. Dobbins today, whether that's, 12 to 15 carries and a catch or two. So I'm going to lean into J.K. Dobbins today. I would say if you want to play it safe, go with Dylan. If you want to kind of roll the dice, go with J.K. Dobbins here. But keep firing up your questions. I'm just kind of refreshing my Twitter feed. I am, I have one league where I have Justin Herbert in the Superflex league, so I am sweating out the Justin Herbert today. Let me know what else you guys are worried about for this afternoon. Pick 2, non-PPR. Debo, Sutton, St. Brown, Gabe Davis, and Lazard. Whew, 2 non-PPR. I think you got to go, in a non-PPR, Debo is probably the guy because just the rushing attempts plus the added bonus from receiving. So Debo's the clear one here. In the non-PPR, I'm going to cross off Allen Lazard in this. I think you're purely looking at Sutton, St. Brown, or Gabe Davis. Now, I'm kind of like, if this was PPR, you'd be all you'd be all in on St. Brown. I think the way I'm leaning here, though, is probably Cortland Sutton. And we're not exactly sure if Jerry Jeudy's going to play. It sounds like he's going to play, but the narrative on Cortland Sutton has been pretty good today. But Gabe Davis, also a pretty strong play here. I do like St. Brown. So I'm going to rank it as this. You're going to play Debo. If you want a safe play, I think St. Brown is a very safe play. He's been so hot right now. I think he would be your number 2. I would go Sutton, number 3, Davis 4, Allen Lazard, number 5. So I hope that helps answer your question. Yes, Dawson Knox is active. He missed practice on Wednesday. Not sure. I saw on the Monday game when they killed the Titans, he came out for a little bit. He was getting his foot looked at. I think that was probably just some soreness on Wednesday, just a day or two after the game. So I think he's fine. Good morning to Christian. Who do you have win on Monday night? That's a tough. I mean, the Giants, man, are fundamentally a much more sound team under Brian Daboll than we've seen in the past. But the thing that I worry about is, I mean, I've watched the Cowboys play for the last 2 weeks, and that defense is that just Micah Parsons and that pass rush, man, it is banging. I'm not sure I'm going to trust Daniel Jones to be able to handle that without making a couple turnovers or something like that. So I think Dallas is going to ultimately win this game. I'm not saying that I love Ezekiel Elliott. I like Tony Pollard, but I think Cooper Rush has showed that he is functional. He can make plays to CeeDee Lamb, Noah Brown, even Michael Gallup coming back this week. I don't think Dalton Schultz plays, but I think the quality of the defense on the Dallas side, and I think I know the Giants have Saquon Barkley, but I think Dallas has more playmakers in position where I'm going to lean slightly Dallas. I think it's going to be a toss-up game, but I'm going to say Dallas takes it. That would be a huge boost for your fantasy matchup against Mike Williams. That's for sure. I'm almost not sure it's a smart. I don't think it's a smart decision. Of course, there's ways you can protect a quarterback. It sounds like they're talking about an injection. He's probably gonna be wearing some type of flak jacket to protect his ribs. And then you got to think the game plan is going to be quick bullets, quick throwing passes and things like that. So we'll see. Either way, I don't expect the Jags-Chargers game to be a high-flying offensive game. So I don't know if I'm ultimately too worried about Mike Williams today. St. Brown, Jeff, or Chase Edmonds, non-PPR. This one's St. Brown all day. No questions about it. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Evan Neal will have Parson in a box. Neal will win some reps, but I think they do a good job of moving Parsons around a little bit. And if he does get stuffed by Neal a couple times, they're just going to keep moving him around. So we'll see. I saw that he had the illness. Let me pull up my practice reports. So where is he? Micah Parsons. So he did not practice Thursday or Friday. He did get a practice in yesterday. I'm going to lean towards him playing. It's a good news sign for him to practice on Saturday. So I'm assuming he's going to play. I think we'll see if he travels with the team I'm assuming they're traveling today. I don't know if that's confirmed or anything like that, but I think he's going to be fine. Tua, Jalen Hurts, 4-point passing touchdown league. Ooh. You got to stick with Jalen Hurts. He's got that massive upside rushing floor where he can get you 60 to 100 yards on the ground here. So I'm going to roll with Jalen Hurts. I know that the excitement for Tua is hard to contain right now, but Jalen Hurts is dealing. He's playing pretty good. Dude got Mike and Allen. I don't think Keenan Allen plays today. We'll see. I don't think Keenan Allen plays today. Good morning, Matt Bame. What's going on, my dude? Hardman, Mooney, or Chark? This is weird, but Mecole Hardman's probably your safest play of the week here, which I don't know if that makes sense. Like, he's just never been someone that we could trust. I don't know if I want to trust Darnell Mooney, but I on my shows yesterday, I was saying, I kind of want to bet on players who haven't showed up for a couple of weeks here. It's probably time for Mooney to have a good game here. We don't really expect much from the Texans defense today. I think Mooney is interesting, but I kind of like DJ Chark because that game, that Minnesota Lions game, is going to be high scoring, and there's potential for DJ Chark. If you haven't watched them play, the Lions have been really, really close on hitting some big plays to DJ Chark. So I would say if you want to play it safe, just take your 7 to 10 Hardman points. I don't know if I can trust Darnell Mooney, a team that doesn't want to throw the ball. Makes me nervous. And I think if you want to go for the risk, DJ Chark's probably the guy. But I kind of like Mecole Hardman. He's looked improved, I would say, through the early parts of this year. So I don't mind Mecole. Kirk Cousins or Kyler Murray? That one's interesting. I mean, the name value of Kyler Murray kind of holds its weight. He's also got the massive rushing upside. So I think I'm going to go with Kyler Murray here. I know it's a good game for Kirk Cousins, but I think it's also a potential get Dalvin Cook on track game. So we'll see if that rushing can come from Cook. So I'm going to say Kyler Murray. Gabe Davis or Bateman with J.K. Healthy, more explosive options. I think you got to go Gabe Davis here because the passing volume for Buffalo is probably going to be greater than the Ravens. And also, I tend to want to lean into the points on that game. I think the Buffalo-Miami game is probably getting to 53, 54 points per game on the Vegas odds, whereas the Ravens-Patriots is probably like in the 40, 43, 44 range. So I'm going to go Gabe Davis here. Zeke or Damien Harris, non-PPR. Man, Zeke is Zeke is scary right now. I don't know if we can trust it. Maybe later in the season things will change. But if you have to ask me, I kind of feel confident enough with Damien Harris. He looked good last week against a quality run defense here. So I will say Damien Harris is the guy. I'm leaning Chark now, but he had that goose egg last week. We'll see. He had the goose egg, but he had 4 targets, and he was like just a few inches away from a couple big plays here. So what I do like about Chark is they're scheming up some big plays for him. And I think the absence of Harrison Smith today for the Vikings, that's a big deal, especially for a player who, like, you think about DJ Chark, he's kind of a deep threat. And that's really big news for him. They're also potentially missing one of their starting cornerbacks, Andrew Booth. So down a corner, down a safety, I think DJ Chark is worth the risk here. Taysom Hill is out, so this helps. AK-41. I don't think they're correlated very much. I mean, even last week, the Saints had an injured Jameis Winston, and they still didn't use Taysom Hill. So, I mean, I cut Taysom Hill in the leagues that I have him. I think AK-41 is going to be just fine. Thoughts on Stafford over 740 through 274 passing yards. I'll take the over on this one. I believe, let me look up my charts here. I believe the Cardinals are just they're like one of the worst teams against the pass right now. Through 2 games, the Cardinals have given up 612 passing yards. That's an average of 306. I would expect Matthew Stafford, with his array of weapons of Kupp and Higbee and Allen Robinson, I would say over on Stafford passing yards, because we still don't really trust that running game. The passing game is where they make their money. Damien Harris or Tony Pollard, non-PPR. We'll stick with Damien Harris. If it was PPR, I would go Tony Pollard. It looked like Cooper Rush found him to be an attractive weapon in the passing game, but we'll go Damien Harris non-PPR. What do you think Adam Thielen is going to do today? It is the Lions, and if I remember correctly, he's had some pretty good games against the Lions in the past. It's also a home game. I'm kind of into narratives. Week 1, Green Bay just could not stop Justin Jefferson, and they didn't really have a need to throw the ball much in the second half. So Thielen, you're looking at a floor of the 6 to 9 points that he's shown us so far in 2 games here. I think this is probably a game where they're going to try and look and feed some of those guys here. So Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, I would expect those guys to perform pretty well today. And he hasn't scored a touchdown yet, and he's one of those guys that he's probably going to score a touchdown. If he doesn't score for 2 weeks, he's probably going to score a touchdown in that next game. So I think it's going to be a nice day for Thielen. Is today's CMC breakout week? It's tough. The Saints are a tough team to have a breakout game. I think what you can expect, though, is him to continue to hit his volume, and that's what you drafted him for. Because right now he's giving us bad fantasy games, and he's still putting up 16 to 19 points. So I'm not sure if it's a breakout game. I think 20 points is probably about where I'd put him today. Sanders or Gibson? That's a good question. I think, to me, Miles Sanders has proven that last year is forgotten. He is kind of the main guy this year. He's held off Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott in some critical situations. I expect the Eagles to win the game today. And if you agree that the Eagles are probably going to beat the Commanders today, that means in games where the Commanders are probably going to lose, you're going to see more J.D. McKissic as a passing option. So I'm taking Sanders over Antonio Gibson today. I'll take the over on David Montgomery. I've taken the over. I've played on some pick'ems and some over-unders and stuff, so I will take Montgomery over. I think Montgomery is a top 10, top 12 back today. I think he's got a good chance at a touchdown. The 70 yards, as long as he gets his 15 carries, he's probably going to go over 70. I don't think Keenan Allen plays. I'm not sure. He's kind of a game time decision today. I think you want to lean into that Adam Thielen matchup. I would say Thielen's got probably better odds for a touchdown today than Keenan Allen. There's also way more points to be scored in that Vikings-Lions game. We don't know if Herbert's going to play. I don't want to take that risk. So Adam Thielen would be the guy. Dalvin Cook's. I would bet good money Dalvin Cook is scoring a touchdown today. Let's lock that one in. Lenny, anytime. If there's one Buccaneer to score a touchdown today, it's probably Leonard Fournette. Most of the sites that I've looked on, they have him projected as a top 5 running back this week, so it's probably Leonard Fournette with a volume day. Tua Tagovailoa or Joseph Burrows. So just thinking of, again, I like to think of narrative. We're looking at an 0-2 Cincinnati Bengals team, and they're on the road against the Jets. The Jets they've given up some big days here. We just saw last week. They made Jacoby Brissett put out a nice fantasy day, and I'm trying to remember who they played week 1. But either way, we kind of want to target the quarterbacks that are playing the Jets. And I'm looking at the numbers here right now. The New York Jets, they've allowed 4 passing touchdowns, about 442 yards on the season. I think Joe Burrow is the safe call. I know a lot of people are excited about Tua. But even though Buffalo's missing some of their secondary, that defense in the front 7 is still freaking really good. So I'm going to go Joe Burrow. They need a win on the road to avoid 0-3. I'm going to go Joe Burrow. Giganator, pick one QB, Goff, Rodgers, or Brady. Whew. Yeah, I've gotten this question a lot. Is this guy or Rodgers, this guy or Brady? I think you want to lean towards sitting Rodgers and Brady. And because again, I've mentioned the Vegas odds for the Lions-Vikings game. They have that game projected as one of the most points in a game this week. So I think Jared Goff is the guy here. And I know that feels risky, but I like his passing options. I like Amon-Ra. I like DJ Chark. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I like DeAndre Swift in that too. So I'm gonna say Jared Goff. I would expect him to hit his floor of maybe 275 and 2 touchdowns, something like that. So we'll go with that. Thoughts on JT over 2.5 receptions? What's he been at so far this season? I think he's caught in a handful of passes more. He's running more routes. I personally, I wouldn't bet on Jonathan Taylor receptions prop. I think he's probably looking at 1 to 2 receptions. Good morning, the Hammy. Hope you're doing well, my man. Fire up any questions you got. We're gonna hang out for another 4 minutes or so. I try to keep this about a half an hour show so I can give myself time to collect all of my rosters and go over things that I need. Thoughts on Hollywood over 56 yards? I'm not super in love with the Hollywood Brown matchup today. Rams defense is pretty good. I know Stephon Diggs had a pretty good game against them. I know Drake London had a good game against them, but I don't have a strong feeling either way. It really depends if Ramsey's going to be matched up with on him. But I think Zach Ertz, Greg Dortch, those guys might be busy today. Is Herbert supposed to play? If so, him or Kirk Cousins? I think it's within your best interest to probably just play Kirk Cousins, because even if Herbert plays, like, there's always a risk for re-injury. There's probably going to be a handful of plays where he's just throwing the ball out quickly. A lot of dinking and dunking. This team has yet to record a rushing touchdown, by the way. So we might, if even if they did score 2-3 touchdowns, you might look at an Austin Eckler rushing touchdown or Sony Michel or whatever. So I think it's within your best odds to play Kirk Cousins today. It's a friendly matchup. I think Kirk Cousins is a top 10 quarterback play today. Just unknown with Justin Herbert. I think you probably got to roll with Kirk Cousins. Yeah, it's Nyheim Hines week. It's always Nyheim Hines week, my man. Ayuk or the AJ Dillon. I'm excited about Jimmy Garoppolo back. You know, I think he boosts the floors for Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo and all that stuff. So I do like Brandon Ayuk today, but I'm going to paint it like this. I feel strongly about AJ Dillon getting his 15 to 20 touches today. I think he's going to be used more as a receiver like he was week 1. So I believe he has a safe floor. So if you needed to just play it, I guess maybe you could watch the noon games and kind of see how it's going. If you just need to collect your 10 to 12 points and want to lock in a good play, it's Dillon. But I think the Brandon Ayuk breakout game against Denver, I don't think Pat Surtain's playing in this one. I'm kind of leaning towards Ayuk if you need to take a risk. So that's how I'm going to paint it. If you want the safe points, it's Dillon. If you want kind of the upside there, I think Ayuk could have a nice game. Pick one, non-PPR, Singletary, Hines, or Melvin Gordon. I'm going to go with Devin Singletary today. Nyheim Hines is kind of useless in non-PPR leagues. Melvin Gordon, I like Melvin Gordon, but I think you got to play the starter, Devin Singletary. Garrett Wilson or Dameon Pierce, full PPR. I'm excited about Dameon Pierce today, but I don't know how we sit Garrett Wilson right now after we've seen 2 pretty good games from him so far. It's probably the last game that we see Joe Flacco, unless if Flacco wins today, like they can't start Zach Wilson next week. So I'm thinking I'm gonna go with Garrett Wilson here. Thoughts on DK anytime touchdown? I think it's DK game. Again, he hasn't scored a touchdown in 2 weeks. I think DK is going to have himself a game. I'm actually kind of excited about the Atlanta Falcons Seahawks. I think the Falcons offense, they've looked really good against 2 good defenses, the Rams and the Saints. I mean, I think the Falcons are probably going to be up in this game, might have to force Seattle to throw. So I'm cool with a DK touchdown. Big day for Tyler Higbee. He is, to me, Higbee's like tight end 3 or 4 on the week. I think he's a top 5 tight end. Robinson or ETN, assuming that's full PPR. Again, I kind of agree with Aiden. I think it's an ETN day. The Chargers pass rush is really good corners. I would expect more routes to be ran for ETN today, and the potential, if they're trailing, they're going to have to come from behind more. Last week, we didn't learn anything last week because they were just killing the Colts. They got to run James Robinson. So I think you take the 8. ETN's got an 8-point floor as of right now through 2 weeks. I think you collect the 8 points and hope for more. He's yet to score a touchdown, so we'll see. And yes, good luck to everybody today. I'm going to get out of here. If you guys do need any more questions, you can hit me up on Twitter at theFellowKGB. Hit me up, DM me, whatever you need. Comment this video, and we're gonna have a fun week 3. I hope everyone comes out healthy. Hope you guys get what you need, get the W, and Good luck today, guys. We'll see you later. Peace.